All right, let's dive into what might be one of the greatest love stories ever told. But here's the thing, it's so much more than just a romance. We're talking about a cosmic epic, a story of creation, gut-wrenching separation, and a reunion that literally holds the entire universe together.
I mean, think about that. A single cell dividing. That's the scale we're on. This is not just a tale of two people falling in love. No. It's about the very fabric of existence. We're talking about pure consciousness and boundless energy, Shiva and Shakti, and this never-ending dance they do, pulling apart and coming back together.
So where do we even begin? Well, we have to go back, way back. Before time, before space, before anything. There was just this single point of awareness, pure potential. The big question is, how did that singularity, that oneness, split into the two that defines, well, everything?
It all starts with this idea of Shunya. Now, you might hear void and think empty, right? But that's not it at all. Picture it more like a cosmic stillness, just packed with pure potential. Everything we know was waiting to burst forth from this nothing that is everything.
And then, out of that stillness, something incredible happens. And I am emerges. The universe becomes aware of itself and, it wanted to see itself, to experience itself. So what did it do? It split. Just like that quote said, like a cell dividing. It became two. You've got Shiva, who is pure consciousness, the observer, the thought. And then you have Shakti, the boundless energy, the doer, the action.
Okay, so you have the thought and the action, but for anything to actually get created, for the universe to take shape, Shakti, that boundless energy, had to get her hands dirty, so to speak. She had to enter the physical world, and she did. She was born as a human, as Sati, the much-loved daughter of a very powerful king named Daka. And right here, this is where the real drama kicks off.
All right, so let's get into the first chapter of this epic, the story of Sati. It's a story of this incredible, unshakable love for Shiva, but it's also a story about a heartbreaking clash with her father, a conflict that's going to lead to absolute tragedy.
And here's the core of the whole problem. On one hand, you have Shiva. He's the ultimate rebel, the outsider who couldn't care less about society's rules. Then you have Sasi's dad, King Daka. His entire life revolves around rules, order, and discipline. They are polar opposites. To Daka, Shiva isn't just a bad match for his daughter, he's a force of chaos threatening the very foundation of his world.
So imagine this. Sati, completely head over heels in love, shows her dad a picture of Shiva. And his reaction? Absolute explosive fury. He just sees this wild ascetic who hangs out in cremation grounds, a total outcast. And he basically says, "No way, not my daughter." The battle lines are drawn right then and there.
But Sati is not giving up. Her devotion is just off the charts. She goes through these incredible spiritual trials to prove her love is real. And it works. She and Shiva are united in this beautiful divine marriage. But her dad? Oh, he's not happy. He was basically forced to go along with it, and that just makes his hatred for Shiva grow even deeper.
So Daka decides to get his revenge. And he does it in the most public way possible. He throws this massive ceremony, the biggest the universe has ever seen. Gods, kings, sages, everyone who's anyone is invited. Well, almost everyone. He very pointedly does not invite his own daughter Sati or her husband Shiva. It's the ultimate slap in the face.
Now, Shiva warns her not to go, but Sati is convinced she can reason with her father. She shows up, and it's a disaster. She's met with nothing but cruel words and nasty insults aimed at Shiva, and that's it. She's heartbroken, but she's also filled with this righteous rage. She looks at her father and says these powerful words, basically disowning the very body he gave her.
And in that moment, using her immense power, she just lets go. Her body erupts into flames. It's a devastating, shocking act, a final, fiery protest against the disrespect her father showed to the love of her life.
And in the stunned silence that follows, the full weight of what he's done crashes down on Daka. He can only ask, "What have I done?" The horror of it all, it finally hits him. But it is way, way too late.
Okay, so this tragic act isn't just a family affair. Oh no. This unleashes a storm of grief and rage so powerful it literally threatens to unravel the fabric of the universe.
When the news reaches Shiva,
His grief isn't some quiet sorrow. It's a sound, a horrific cry of pure agony that shakes the heavens, the earth, and everything in between. The calm, meditative consciousness is just gone, replaced by pure, white-hot rage.
And his response is immediate and devastating. In his agony, he tears out a lock of his hair, and from it, two terrifying warriors are born. Their mission? Destroy Daka's ceremony. And they do. Their army lays waste to the whole thing, and one of them, Virabhadra, finds King Daka and delivers the final punishment. He beheads him.
But even that vengeance doesn't bring him peace. Nothing can. He finds Sati's body and just wanders. He wanders across the universe, clutching her, lost in a grief so deep it starts to break reality itself. Think about it. Pure consciousness is now unhinged, lost in sorrow, and the whole cosmos starts to fall apart because of it.
Things are getting so bad that the other gods have to step in. Lord Vishnu realizes that to save the universe, he has to break Shiva's grief-stricken attachment. It's a terrible choice, but he does it. He uses his divine weapon to scatter Sati's body across the earth into 51 pieces. And here's the beautiful part that comes from the tragedy. Every place a piece of her body landed became a sacred spot of energy, what we now call a Shakti Pitha. These 51 places are still considered incredibly powerful centers of divine feminine energy today. And this heartbreaking act, it finally worked. It snapped Shiva out of his grief, and he was able to retreat back to his mountain and go deep into meditation.
But of course, that's not the end of the story. It can't be. Because without Shiva and Shakti together, without consciousness and energy united, the universe is just incomplete. It's out of balance. And that leads us to the grand finale, the rebirth of Shakti, this time as Parvati.
So while Shiva is lost in meditation for ages, a new problem arises. A powerful demon, Tarkasur, gets a special power that makes him basically unbeatable. The only catch? He can only be defeated by a son of Shiva. Well, that's a problem, right? Shiva is a total hermit now. So for the world to be saved, Shakti has to come back. She has to be reborn and somehow win the heart of a god lost in grief.
And check out the two different approaches they take to win him over. First, the gods try a shortcut. They send Kamadev, the god of desire, to hit Shiva with a love arrow. It definitely stirs something in Shiva, but it's fury. He opens his third eye and just incinerates Kamadev. So brute force and worldly desire? Total failure. But Parvati, she knows better. She takes the long road. She goes through years of intense spiritual practice, proving her devotion is pure, selfless. And that is what finally gets through to him. It touches his heart.
So, her incredible, unwavering devotion does what brute force never could. And this brings us to the beautiful conclusion, the divine reunion that finally sets the universe right again.
Through her devotion, Parvati literally heals Shiva's broken heart. The great hermit, the renunciate, opens his eyes and accepts her as his other half, his eternal partner. And you gotta understand, their wedding isn't just a wedding. It's the universe snapping back into alignment. It's consciousness and energy coming back together, restoring harmony, and making sure that creation itself can continue.
You see, this incredible story isn't just some old myth. It's really a blueprint for the balance within everything and within us. It's about stillness and action. It's about the observer and the creator. So it leaves us with a pretty big question, right? What does that perfect harmony between consciousness and energy really look like? Not just out there in the cosmos, but right here, inside of each of us.